Welcome to the Mentionables Sunday Night Live, where we touch on theology, apologetics, current events, and more. If you'd like to get involved, make sure you're in the Facebook chat. Send us a question. Without further ado, let the show begin. All right, we are live. Hello, world. Hopefully this is coming through okay. And welcome to Mentionables Sunday Night Live. I am Neil Hess, your host. Joel, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Joel Furchess.
There he is. All right. So we are going to start off. First of all, Joel, how was your week?
It was a really good week. I did some nice experiments at the Science Center where I work. We created fire, and we blew up bubbles, and we froze bubbles, and we bounced bubbles. It was a bubble week, was what we did.
Every year teaching, the first question I get is, are we going to blow anything up this year? Are we going to blow anything up this year? And I'm like, we're a bunch of little pyros. Calm down. Good Lord. So
we're doing a demonstration called Fire versus Explosion, where we tell the difference between a fire and explosion by making both of them.
That's cool. That's cool. I need to look into doing that. So, Joel, you have a video clip for us.
Yeah.
So let me cue that up. I will share my screen here and attempt to do this properly. Okay.
I brought this up because last episode we were talking about a tragic situation, and you suggested the audience pray for the situation, which it ended up resolving itself at the end of the week. It looks like they only had one fatality, one diver, but they got all the kids out. All in all, turned out as well as one could expect.
Yeah, basically, it sounds like, and from
setting the video up by saying,
yeah, and from what I understand, like a professional Navy SEAL diver died in doing this, so that should let people know just how crazy difficult and amazing this was. So I'm going to share my screen now. Hopefully this will work. If the video is a little off center, I apologize, but hopefully you at least get the audio. And Joel, if you don't hear the audio, please stop me and let me know. Here we go.
I will.
Hey, it's Economic Invincibility. Today we're going to talk about something that really grinds my gears. Yeah, I know that's a stupid phrase, but it relates to folks who in the aftermath of a great tragedy, and we've had quite a few recently, we'll say, on Instagram, Facebook, MySpace, Friendster, LinkedIn, whatever, my thoughts and prayers are with insert this particular group, usually the victims or the victims' families. And I think we should break that down a little bit. Your thoughts. What does that mean? I'm thinking about these people. They're in my mind. What benefit does that have? Is there a net positive? If someone got blown away and you're thinking about them, that doesn't help them too much, right? That doesn't really help their family either. And now on the other side, praying, there are people who believe that prayer actually works, but those aren't the folks who are necessarily putting it on their social media. At least from the Christian standpoint, as I understand it, you're supposed to pray by yourself, like in a quiet room. You're not supposed to go around trying to say, oh, look at me, I'm praying. And I don't believe those folks are actually praying. They're just putting it on there because it's a form of virtue signaling. Guess what? I'm part of this. I'm a decent human being. I'm saying this like everyone else. I'm part of the group. In fact, I think it has very little to do with the genuine concern for those who have lost their lives, the families, but rather a desire and a feeling of obligation to make your mark so that everyone knows, oh yeah, I'm also paying attention to this. Just like changing your profile picture on Facebook to a particular flag or color. Oh, by the way, I'm part of this. Well, what, you think people are going to assume you don't care just because you don't post it on Facebook or something of that nature? No. If you really want to pray, pray. If you're thinking about people, and I still don't know what that does, well, then think about people. You don't need to put it on Facebook as though that's supposed to prove something. Like, oh, I'm thinking about this group. Okay. I'm thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner. Does that mean that's having an effect on dinner? No, you got to go up and buy it or make it. So if you want to help these people, maybe you donate to a survivors fund. Maybe you look into the reasons why many of these people commit horrible acts. Oftentimes it is tied to mental illness, sadly, or it could be political or philosophical things. But at least you're actually trying to make a difference rather than sitting there and pretending that your little slice of the internet is relevant. And that's what everyone expects of you. No, people expect action, or at least let's say, if not action, not an attitude that it revolves around your silly profile whenever something big happens. There's better ways to contribute, and they're not sitting there and putting stuff on your profile. Hey, it's second.
So the first thing, whoops, sorry, there we go. Go ahead, Joel.
All right. So I was never much of a thoughts and prayer guy when it came to things going on. I wasn't the guy who was posting thoughts and prayers. But I wasn't necessarily against that. I understood why people did it. And I didn't expect myself to be the guy defending those statements, but I will.
Unfortunately, during this part of the recording, we experienced some audio problems, and I've had to edit this down. This is Neil, by the way, so our apologies for that, but we did figure out the problem. We have fixed the problem, and I am going to have to kind of truncate or shrink down Joel's answer and response until the point where the audio comes back to normal. So my apologies. We've got it fixed, and it will not happen again. Thanks for your patience.
Now, the prayer person isn't terribly religious in nature. It adds an entire new layer of meaning if the person is in fact religious, because now they feel as if there is a network of people whose prayers are going up to God for their situation, and they trust that God will have some kind of response to that. Otherwise, if they're not religious, the prayers thing is the same thing as thinking about you. This person is actually contemplating you in a meditative manner in some way. So you can look at the studies. The studies show that a person who's in mourning or grieving or going through a tragedy feels terribly alone. Loneliness is one of the biggest problems. So to have an entire nation get on Facebook and say, I'm thinking about you, they realize that people are recognizing their situation, that they're aware of their grief, that they're not alone in this situation. So there actually is a purpose behind it, and people who say thoughts and prayers are probably aware of this. So why the national outrage over the thoughts and prayer thing all of a sudden? It was shocking to me to see that, like, suddenly the entire Facebook was up in arms against anybody who dared to make the sin of saying thoughts and prayers. And that blew me away. Have you seen this, Neil? Have you seen this huge response against thoughts and prayers?
And I think, I think the root of it is a kind of a knee-jerk response to either Christianity or past church experiences or things. It's just because they associate prayers with, traditionally in American Christianity, then people will go back into, say, a negative experience they had church, like I said, with the Bible or Christians or whatever, and then it's an immediate negative association, which the negativity might be well-deserved given their past experiences. But I that's my guess, is that it's an associative, emotional kind of a thing.
Well, I can tell you what my guess is, and I will do so now. In order to do so, I'm going to walk back to a few years after I was out of college. One of our friends from college emailed the entire graduating class and let them know that one of the classmates that we had all been friendly with had died in action in Afghanistan or something. Mm-hmm. And so, he's breaking the news that somebody that we knew and cared about was dead and gone. And he said that in one sentence, and then the rest of that email was this diatribe about how America needs to withdraw from war and, stop spending so much on the military. And it was just this whole political lecture to everybody, which seemed remarkably insensitive to me. I mean, he's breaking the news that somebody we love died, and he's using that as just a platform to pitch his personal political views. And that, I believe, is the root of this whole anti-thoughts and prayers movement. You can't let a good tragedy go to waste. Any tragedy that occurs is an opportunity to get up on your platform and pitch your political position. And if people aren't up in arms and supporting gun control or, reduction of military spending or, environmental or whatever their particular political platform is, if they're just out there trying to send comforting messages, of care and concern to the actual individuals who were affected by this tragedy, then they're not, they're not embracing your cause. They're not being politically active, and it's irritating to say the least. You want them on your side with, well, I honestly think the biggest one is gun control, because this is the one you see most now is the school shootings. There's one once a month anymore, and it just becomes this huge rally for gun control, and these people are very upset when others don't jump on their political bandwagon and instead try to be emotionally supportive. That would be my guess.
Yeah. And I think, kind of expounding off of that, and I've had to look at the mirror on this one big time, because I tend to jump headfirst into discussions about these things. I mean, which part of the reason why we do this thing is because we like discussing these issues. But something that I've really had to kind of remind myself of, and not always successfully, is like, okay, this person disagreeing with me is a person made in the image of God, deserving of respect and love. Doesn't mean I can't disagree, and disagree strongly, but I need to be doing so in a manner that still shows them, a reflection of the grace of Christ. And yeah, I feel that fairly often. Sorry, I know it's kind of a tangent, but from a practical living standpoint, I know that's something that I feel convicted of quite often. But yeah, I do think there is, especially in this day and age, in a culture where we can't let a good tragedy go to waste on either side, it seems, and we are going to jump on one bandwagon or another. And it seems like we do that without at least giving time to discuss things or think about things or to take in new data or whatever.
Well, I mean, every single time one of these things happens, you see the flood of atheist blogs and posts and so forth about, well, what kind of God would let this happen? So, I mean, that touches somewhat on what we spoke about last week, where are you allowed to be emotionally outraged if life has no value in a godless universe or so forth? But regardless of that, I mean, it's, again, they're jumping on their bandwagon for, using the problem of evil, which is by far the strongest tool they've got in their handbag for denying Christianity. Mm-hmm. And, this is an example of actual evil that everybody's being affected with. So they kick you while you're down with that. And it's interesting to me, if you take the Christian approach is to offer prayers at the very least and any kind of comfort that is available. And I can't necessarily pin down the families that have been affected by the recent school shooting, but what I can do is to get it out there on social media that they're being thought of and cared about. And then if they put up, I don't know, a GoFundMe account or something, I can throw a couple of bucks their way. But honestly, I think the fact that they know that people are thinking about them and that they're not alone in their suffering can be a little bit more cathartic than just receiving money. So I believe that there is a value and a purpose to thoughts and prayers to the very specific audience of the people who are directly affected by the suffering.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. All right. So I don't have a current event this week because I was at a wedding. And sorry, I'm reading the messages in the room. You guys have been awesome letting me know about the audio and video issues. I'm still working all the kinks out.
Only we could get some feedback on the content, right?
Yeah. Anyway, what I want to do now is I want to go through this list that we got, the thumbs up, thumbs down list. And this, just for anyone listening, this is just supposed to be kind of fun. We're just supposed to go through, people are supposed to give us a proposition. I was going to play music, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet. And so people say something like, the Seahawks will win the Super Bowl. And we go thumbs up, thumbs down, and kind of discuss out loud our thought process and talk about it. And we'll let this go on for a little bit.
I've got my phone right here. You want me to play some music?
No, that's okay. That's okay. I want to get a little better audio quality than that. It's the audio guy in me. It's like, good audio or no audio. Like, give me good or give me death or something. I don't know. Yeah, right. So, let's see here. First one. So this would be for those of you keeping track in the chat room. This would be proposition number one. So under number one, we'll rephrase this as a statement. The new Thundercats will blow massive chunks just like Teen Titans Go. Do you have any opinion on that?
So if I agree with that statement, it would be thumbs up, right?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. So why?
I haven't seen a whole lot of success of remake of 80s stuff in recent years. I mean, every couple of years they'll put a new He-Man cartoon out, and it never does well and goes down the toilet. And they put out the Power Rangers movie, and it didn't do well and went down the toilet. So, I mean, I tend to view things like remakes and so forth with a huge pair of fan goggles on, because I'm just sitting there wanting to like this new material of a thing that I liked before. But honestly, I think they just kind of fly on the seat of the expectation that people have fan goggles on when they're watching it, and they don't even put in the work necessary to make it of good quality. I mean, the animation sometimes is okay, depending. Teen Titans Go, I would not give that credit to, but who knows? I expect that it will not do well.
I think I saw like 3 Thundercats episodes when I was a kid. I've never even heard of Teen Titans Go. Okay. I have a very uninformed thumbs up on this one. But I agree with you. Most remakes end up being really crummy. So I'm going to give that one a thumbs up if I can find where the thumbs up is on the Facebook.
Well, I'll tell you what, as a kid, I grew up in this, super conservative Christian family. I wasn't allowed to watch Saturday morning cartoons. So I watched all of the Thundercats I ever watched as an adult when I was in college, and they were like, all of my friends who did grow up watching cartoons were like, oh boy, let's watch this. I can tell you that I swear they were snorting coke when they wrote those episodes, because they don't make a whole lot of sense whatsoever.
They're a little goofy. I remember
like flashy.
I remember the Snarf character was Thundercats, right? Like Snarf. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah. So that guy, that's all I remember from it, honestly, is that weird orange chubby cat thing saying Lino all the time. But like every Ninja Turtle remake that I've tried to sit through, I get through about 3 minutes and I go, this isn't the Ninja Turtles. I'm sorry. This is not the Ninja Turtles cartoon of my childhood. So no. All right, let's move on here. We need so Tyler, who I believe is in the chat room right now. Why not Pepsi, Tyler? Really? You think that would be comfortable? Come on, man. So Tyler says we need a live action Voltron movie.
Better, Tyler. I'm sorry, I missed the question.
We need a live action Voltron movie. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Why?
Live action Transformers movie didn't quite cut it. Live action Power Rangers movie didn't cut the mustard. Pacific Rim wasn't terrible, but it wasn't a remake.
I thought Pacific Rim was the cool part of Power Rangers, but beefed up. So I actually kind of like Pacific Rim. It's it's not a classic great movie, but it's a fun movie.
I said it wasn't bad, but it wasn't a remake.
Yeah. Now, do we need it? I would agree with you. I'd say thumbs down, and I'd say no. Or thumbs down.
Surveys blow chunks, Tyler. I'm countercultural. I go for Coke.
Let's see. Nick Peters. He says, I affirm the virgin birth. We knew that was coming. Obviously, thumbs up for that one, because we also affirm it, but we also knew it was going to be mentioned at some point. All right. Ketchup is the king of the condiments. Now, this could spark a very lively debate. This is one of the timeless important issues in our society. Joel, what say you?
Okay. I'll be honest. I posted that. I posted it specifically because Tyler thinks that ketchup is liquid evil. No, ketchup is good for dipping fries, but it's not the king of the condiments. I'm going to give that a thumbs down.
Okay. I am going to also give it a thumbs down. I am going to go with mayonnaise for me because mayonnaise, the great thing about mayonnaise is it's such a blank slate that you can it's like it's basically, from my understanding, I'm no chef, but it's like aioli. And so you can, add, a spiciness to it, or you can add a creaminess to it, or you can add maybe not fruitiness. That would be kind of weird, but it's a really good foundation or clean slate or blank slate. So ketchup being king of the condiments, I would disagree. I'm going to go thumbs down on that one.
Okay. I would say probably hot sauce. Somebody posted hot sauce and I was like, oh yeah, hot sauce. Forgot about that. All
right. Let's skip the evolution one for another day. That one's going to take too much time. And
right there.
Yeah. And then Nick is reaffirming his belief in the virgin birth. Thank you so much, Nick. All right. Yeah. Well, my wife is upstairs with my 6-month-old who just learned how to roll over. And it's absolutely adorable. I love that kid to death. So, I think it's time to wrap this up. What do you say, Joel?
Is that all the thumbs up downs we got?
With the exception of the one I want to say for next week, yes.
Okay. That makes me sad, but if you got to go, you got to go. I was going to do my new thing real quick.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I thought the prayer thing was your my new thing.
No. My new thing this week is astronomy in the Bible. I by sheer coincidence, I had two books which are both essentially titled Astronomy in the Bible, and they both approach it from extremely different angles. One of them is an attempt to capture and understand the ancient Near Middle East mindset when it comes to astronomy and how that plays out through Scripture, which is very interesting. And then the other is more of I don't know how to describe the view exactly, but it's the idea that it has some kind of scientific merit to it. And so it's looking for that scientific merit through the Scripture. And the two are fairly opposed in their viewpoint, but it's nice to get both viewpoints. And I'm kind of an astronomy buff. I know that nothing in my background would show you that. So that's my new thing this week.
Okay. And my new thing is learning how to deal with a child who is nearly immobile and baby-proofing the house. That's my new thing for the week. So, yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, that'll be fun, right? Okay. Well, until next time, folks, I think I'll be here next Sunday. I think the Sunday after I'm not going to be available too, but I think next Sunday should work. So until next time, everybody, thank you for watching and listening. And if you have any feedback, please leave it for us. Joel, any parting words?
Well, it's been fun, and I hope we can keep this up. Keep on mentioning.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you for joining us on the Mentionables Sunday Night Live. For more information, check out thementionables.org. And there you can connect with us via Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and our other social media platforms. Until next time, take care.